Hello, what I want to share with you are my three favorite features of LinkedIn. If you use them, you could level up your profile, whether you're a leader, coach, freelancer, what have you. It's going to be useful. So, what I also want to make sure that I'm clear about is that your profile goal is really to attract opportunities so that you're not doing a lot of the or all of the heavy lifting rather than you going out like a bee gathering all of them up to bring back. So this is all about making your profile more attractive for others. Now, my name is Tiffany. I am a master certified coach. I've been specializing in career coaching, career development, career satisfaction for more than 10, 15 years now. And part of my experience has been with experimenting and getting down to practical applications as it relates to tools like LinkedIn for the job search and promoting the career and also for freelancing. So that's the vein in which I'm coming from. So my LinkedIn tips for you would be to feature your brand. It's my favorite feature of the profile so far right now. The second tip would be to name and claim your experience. And then my third tip would be to join the services marketplace. So what that means is in your profile, you should have an add profile section if you don't already make use of the featured section. So you can just add that section, go through the list of all the things you could add, and then pick featured as part of it. And then with your featured section, which this is a snapshot of what mine looked like at one point, you could add thought leadership files or products. I've got a couple of books that I've written that are here, or a class that I have online for freelancing. You could do anything related to your business or your brand or your thought leadership. So it could be case studies, it could be linked to a profile page or a portfolio page or your website, different pages or services. Because the profile is changed to the point where the services show up from the services from the services marketplace show up on your profile very similar to this. I no longer put my services here on the featured section, but you could also use this as an opportunity to lay out your values or lay out your corporate logos as opposed to talking about all the companies you used to work at or all the companies that you um, have contracted or worked with. You could just put in their websites and get their logos in here as well. So, in terms of that featured profile, you can either do your values, your thought leadership materials, or you could put corporate logos up in here or links to company sites which represent where you've been working or where your leaders or your clients actually make change. So, in terms of values, it could be something like when I write out my profile, you'll see that it ends with learn, do, grow. So I could have learn featured here and do featured here as well, and then grow. That's what I mean by the values part of it. So to summarize, you could use it for your thought leadership. That's my first and number one recommendation. That thought leadership could even be a link to your portfolio or your website, especially if you're a solopreneur. It could be your leadership values or goals or examples. It can also be corporate logos of the places or company pages where you've worked. Now, when I talk about naming and claiming your experience, usually there are people like me who take on multiple roles all at once. So you could use this to give yourself credit for all the things. You could also use this as an opportunity to get those keywords on your profile and also to help position your brand, especially differently. What I mean by that is, for example, I've done a few roles where I decided I actually want to, instead of working with more early career people during job search, I'm going to branch out and work with leaders doing career development. So at that decision making stage that impacts the early career people as well. So as part of that, I took some roles that included chief of staff to help reposition my brand um, globally, and then I could start transitioning my coaching and my business that way. On top of that, I was also tasked with taking on an IT advisor role. So I went ahead and accepted those responsibilities. So there's an overlap there. I was doing two roles at once. It was a lot of work, but I want full credit for all the stuff I put into it. So I have it on my profile as well. Now, there was a time when I did work, I do this for companies as well, when I worked full time, as opposed to working full time for myself. But I did have a time when I had a boss that was let go. And all of a sudden, I was the one building out the strategy for the next year and onboarding my coworker. So I did put in here that I was acting director of career services. They didn't formally give me the title, but that work needed to get done. And so I stepped up, got the experience. And so that's why I have that in here. It's one of the ways in which, another way in which you could be found is to also group all of these roles that you have for one company in that company profile. It's what I love so much about the way that LinkedIn is set up right now is this dot actually links all the way back to other roles that I have at the same company. So all the roles show up there, and my whole tenure is included. So it cleans up my timeline. It doesn't look like I'm job hopping because I was promoted so many times or I took 50 million roles while I was at the company. So they could filter and find me by the company. They could filter and find me by the job title. But all of this also works for the resume as well. And actually, I can articulate that by saying, you see where I have this job title, and then I have a bullet point that would be an example of my impact for this role. If this were my resume, I'd have one company, my company name, and then if I'm a freelancer, I'd have one line for the biggest impact that I did for one client, and then the biggest impact I did for another client. So that would be something that I want to make sure to show you as well. Adding rich media to your profile is a great way to get additional visual elements to your profile and show your thought leadership over the years. If you're promoting a business or a topic that you speak on, you could put the whole slide deck there, or you could put maybe one slide. So I've got my building credibility on LinkedIn checklist here from a talk I gave eons ago, it feels like now. Um, if I give a talk for a company and I'm not allowed to share it broadly, because it's proprietary information, I might give the opening slide and the agenda items so that people know what I could speak on. And so here, because I'm talking about LinkedIn, were the top 5 things that I mentioned while I was giving this talk. And I did bold like the 3 of them items that I thought were the most important. ProFinder Marketplace, that is now what Services Marketplace is called. So that tells you how much time um, that has it's been since that time for me. So when I say name your experience, I'm talking about naming all the multiple roles that you've had at a company, even if they don't formally pay you for that, even if they don't formally give you that title. This is a way for you to both claim that experience for yourself, which helps combat imposter syndrome, but also gives the keywords and shows your experience very quickly to recruiters who will be looking at your functional title to determine if, or clients actually for that matter, and determine if you have the experience for what they're looking for. Adding the rich media to create that element for them to get to know you or to know what to come to you for. And if you put all of the roles that you have at a company underneath that company profile, link it to that brand, it's going to be easy to find you, but also it it cleans up the timeline quite a bit, especially when you're freelancing and doing a lot of contract or gig work. It could look like you're job hopping, but this shows that you're progressing all with one company. So at the top of the menu bar for LinkedIn is a business apps section. When you click on that, you can go down to the services marketplace. And then you'll have a page where you can create your own service page, talk about the services you offer. You'll be able to get requests for project help that you could go to and pitch at. You can also hire people this way, I'm just saying. And then you can manage all of your client projects there. as far as like archiving them and asking them for recommendations. On your profile, it looks very much like the featured section. So because I have my services listed out here, and it includes my reviews and all the services that I offer, I actually keep the featured section for other things now. But I did start to just have it as my services. Now, another way to be found in terms of that service marketplace is you could go out and pitch for projects, but it also makes it so that people know what to come to you for. So I get a lot of people pitching me to look at their resume or asking if I could help out in any way. It gives you a way to showcase your services on your LinkedIn profile. And again, it gives you another way that people could search for and find you and know what to come to you for. So I'm offering a few resources in this as a PDF, but I'm putting this along with the video so that you could click and get additional LinkedIn help as well. And I think I'm gonna put this as a playlist. Let's do this as a playlist as well because LinkedIn has a lot of things and it changes over the years. So we're gonna put all the resources together in one playlist. Now, if you want more help, especially if you're a coach, I have career coach training mastermind, I have a leadership mastermind, and I have a job search support mastermind. For career coach training, my next first cohort for the year is in the spring. It offers 9 CCEs if you're a coach and you're looking for core competencies. I've got seven CCEs for that and then 2 for resource development. And I'll cover everything, including tips for resumes, the applicant tracking system, LinkedIn, and cover letters. Your partner in change, Sacred Time.